Welcome back to Aging is for Everyone. We're talking about neighbors helping neighbors today. And a program that's been doing just that since 2003 is Hearts and Hands, Faith in Action. And here to tell us about it is Jim Bender, their Executive Director. Welcome, Jim.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
It's great to have you. This is a wonderful program. I'm a little bit familiar with it, so I can say I'm a little biased.
No.
But why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about what Hearts and Hands, Faith in Action is and what you do?
Sure. Hearts and Hands, Faith in Action is a neighbor helping neighbor volunteer organization. We support the elderly and frail, disabled, with non-medical supports. A lot of what we do is provide transportation. We are currently serving the rural towns of Wales, Alden, Newstead, Tonawanda Indian Reservation, and we're starting an expansion project into the Clarence community as well. And we do a lot of transportation, mainly to medical appointments, running local errands, things like that, things that elders are having more and more difficult time doing. Mm-hmm. But we also provide some in-home supports as well, mm-hmm. respite care to allow the caregivers to get out to do some of those chores.
Right.
But we also minor home maintenance, minor home repair. Basically, if I have a volunteer with the time and talent, and there's a need out there, we try to put it together and make it work.
That's wonderful. And I don't think people, you know, unless you've been caring for an elderly person and you're, you know, maybe you're working, I don't think people understand how hard it is to get people to those doctor's appointments, especially when you live out in Newstead and, yep. you know, it's like, because then all the doctors tend to be in Amherst. So,
sure.
So I mean, that's really a big support, and to have volunteers that do that is wonderful. Can you maybe just give us an example about maybe a family that's been helped by the service that you provide?
Certainly, actually, one of our greatest success stories happened actually before my time, but it was an elderly couple. Their families were struggling in trying to meet all their needs, getting in their doctor's mm-hmm. appointments, into the store and stuff like that. They lived in the town of Akron and Newstead, and they were looking at assisted living settings, thinking that was going to be their answer to meet the needs. Mm-hmm. However, they heard about Hearts and Hands, and at that point they said, you know, let's try that first. Mm-hmm. And I'm very proud to say that we were able to successfully delay the need for assisted living. They eventually had to go in, but we delayed it for 36 months. So we did. It was a great success story for us, and we saved that family hundreds of thousands of dollars right. during that period of time. Right,
right, and that is a big thing, to be able to stay in your own home. That's a place where most people feel most comfortable. So if you can do that, mm-hmm. that's a great thing. So what are some of the other things you mentioned? Driving, maybe some home repairs. Any other things that volunteers can do? They don't do hands-on type
right.
medical care.
They're not trained to do
right.
lifts or do any toileting or anything like that. Right. It's truly what our volunteers would think to do for their own neighbors. Mm-hmm. And you know, they might cut their grass, they might rehang a gutter, they might you know, get the dust bunnies out from under the bed, you know, whatever it would take to help them enjoy their home and stay and age in place.
Right, that's great. So how does somebody, if they live in your service area, how mm-hmm. would they go about getting your services?
Well, the best way is just to call us at 716-542-2226 or check our website. Either way, you can reach us, and one of our coordinators of volunteer services will reach out and try to do an intake process for those people that mm-hmm. are looking for services, and make sure our program is the right fit for them.
Right.
And then we'll get them enrolled, and our services are free, but they are also best efforts, only based on the opportunity of our volunteers. I have to say, though, we're pretty good at what we do. Over 2,500 requests last year. We filled 98% of them. So
that's great.
It's a very successful and very dedicated group of volunteers mm-hmm. that we have.
It sounds like it. How many volunteers do you have?
We have slightly over 150 volunteers in all our communities right now, and we serve about 300 people.
That's great. That's great. So volunteers really are the key to the program. I mean, you could probably bring on a lot more clients, but you really have to keep that volunteer base up. Do you need more volunteers at this point?
Absolutely. We always need volunteers. Now we have the benefit of having a coalition of interfaith community from each of our towns that kind of support us. So we go mm-hmm. to those congregations. We ask a lot for volunteers from those groups. Also community service groups such as Rotaries and and Lions clubs and
Right.
Masons and things like that. They all pitch in and try to help us recruit volunteers. But we can reach right out into the general public too, and the businesses that are out there. There's some small businesses. The owners say, hey, I got a few minutes, I can run somebody to the bank. That's not a problem. So we might have that as well. We make volunteering easy. That's our key.
Right.
Whether it's an hour a week, hour a month, hour every 6 months, it's really up to our volunteers. They get to select the assignment that they want and when it's convenient for them. I have one volunteer. He has a strong back and a pickup truck. I see him about every 6 months when we need something moved. And that works for him and it works for us. So that's how easy we can make it.
That's great, because it really, that's a key to volunteering these days. Everybody's so busy that you have to make it easy for the volunteers as well.
Absolutely.
And it's fulfilling too. You know, you helped a neighbor.
Yeah. We always say that with volunteers that they're spiritually uplifted, physically active, and socially engaged. All good wellness activities for themselves.
Right, right. Now, you mentioned moving into Clarence. So, is that what your plans for the future are?
Yes,
a little bit of an expansion.
Yep, we're trying to eventually hope to be in all of Western New York, but it's one town at a time for us. And Clarence is our next stop. It's kind of a mix of a rural area that we're used to and a little bit of a suburb to see if our model will work there. And thanks to ENWG Foundation, we got a seed grant to get us started, and we look forward to serving the town of Clarence.
That sounds great. Now, when you move into a new town, do you have a satellite site there, or do you kind of stay in your...
Our model is to try to have a satellite office in each of our locations the best we can, and it comes down to funding and manpower and all that good stuff, but we are going to have an office in the Clarence community. Actually, it's on Goodrich Road, and we just got our sign up today, as a matter of fact, so we're very excited about that. But it's a wonderful community. There's a lot of people there that are very interested in our program. A lot of our churches have already jumped up and stepped up to be coalition members. We have 4 now, and that's a good start, and we're hoping they'll all join us eventually.
That's great. Now, will you be Clarence and Clarence Center, or just Clarence?
It's the whole town of Clarence, so Clarence Center is right dab in the midst of that. So.
Pretty big geographic area there, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Clarence actually will double our size, demographically anyways, and so it's going to be a big challenge for us. So we got to kind of pace ourselves, make sure we're ready for all the needs that might be coming. Great,
great. Well, it just sounds like you have got a lot of great things going, and then just remind people how they can get in touch with you again.
Absolutely. You can see us at heartsandhandsfia.org. Or you can call us at 716-542-2226.
Great. Well, hopefully some folks will call you about volunteering.
I hope so, very much so.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being with us, Jim. Thanks for the time.
And thank you all for being with us. We'll be right back with more Aging is for Everyone.